Hi everyone, welcome to the videos that I'm going to record for each chapter on the PowerPoints. This is some of the information we would have gone over in class. We will hit some of it as we go through problems and exercises, but we're going to leave out just the straight lecture part of it. Yay! But if you're interested in seeing that, I'll kind of go through some of that here. I'm trying to break it up into short clips. So this first video is just going to be about the first part of chapter 1, if I can get it to advance to the next screen. And the first thing we're going to talk about is what the heck is financial accounting, which I think in a couple of the classes we already went over. But financial accounting, you might hear it referred to as the language of business, or accounting referred to that. So anything in a business that you can describe in financial terms, typically that's involving something with accounting. So the main purpose of financial accounting is to measure business activities and then communicate that. So there are business activities happening all the time within a company. Anything that has a dollar amount assigned to it, we're going to look at those, we're going to compile it, we're going to put it in a form that people can understand. And financial accounting is focusing on people outside of the company. So here's the lovely little diagram. You got the companies, they're doing stuff. You've got the accountants. They're gathering all that information. They're communicating it to people who need it. There's also accountants that communicate to people within the company, and typically that's referred to as managerial accounting. So there is obviously accounting information that people inside the company need, and managerial accounting focuses on that. The financial accounting, we're primarily concerned with people outside of the company. So the main way we communicate with people outside the company is through financial statements. So we're going to do 4 financial statements in this course, and we'll go over those, all of them in chapter. We're actually going to do 3 of them in chapter 1. We'll talk about all of them in chapter 1. One we'll save to the very end of the class. Anyway, some of the people outside of a company that might need to know information, financial information about a company, people that you're wanting to invest in your company, so new shareholders, other investors, mom and dad, family, if we're talking maybe a smaller company, creditors. So a lot of companies start out or grow by going and getting loans from banks. Typically it's banks, it doesn't have to be a bank, but people that we're borrowing money from. You might have customers who are interested in knowing more about your company. Suppliers, they need to know that you're a viable company if they're going to commit to being a supplier for you. Managers, again, they'll get more information from managerial accounting. It's a little bit different, has a little bit different focus. And a lot of times there'll be people outside of your company that want to know information about you, taxing authorities, government agencies, Security and Exchange Commission if you're a publicly traded companies. So maybe some local government agencies. So a lot of people outside the company want to know about the company, and the financial information will get communicated through financial statements. So I'm going to skip this. Some of the activities that we'll deal with, and I don't be so concerned about these definitions, but we'll be looking at the operating activities of a business. Think of this as your like day-to-day stuff. So you're going out and you're mowing lawns. What is your day-to-day financial activity? You are obviously expecting your customers to pay you. You've got a revenue source when you go and mow their yards. You've got expenses, you're buying gasoline for your mowers. You might have to pay someone to help you mow. You might have to buy some equipment, which buying equipment would be an investing activity. But operating activities is going to be your day-to-day stuff. If you're talking about a store like Target, it would be selling things to my customers. It would be paying for things like employee salaries, utilities, rent. Those are the day-to-day, that's operating. Investing is things like buying equipment, opening up a new store, and either purchasing the store or purchasing large equipment that would go in it. that's investing. So you're investing to grow your company. Financing activities is looking at, well, where are you getting the money to do these things? Did you go and borrow from a bank? Did you get investors? Did you get mom and dad to give you money to, you know, open up that store or start that business? So that's what financing is looking at. So those are the activities that are going to be communicated through the financial statements. The other thing that they talk about right away in this chapter is they talk about different forms of business structures. There's a lot more than what they have listed here, but these are your primary forms, and then there'll be offshoots of that. So corporation is what we're going to be working with really the whole semester. So corporation, you have owners that are legally separate from the company. So whatever those owners have invested in their shares of stock, that's what they have a liability for. They're not involved with the day-to-day operations. They are separate from the company. So corporation sells stock, it's its own legal entity. So it can make contracts in its name, it can be sued outside of the individual ownership. Sole proprietorship, generally you might think of this as like something small, like I go out and start mowing lawns and it's just me, and so it needs to be one person. You haven't done paperwork to become a corporation, you're solely responsible for that business. So pretty basic. Partnership is just involving more than one person. So maybe you've got the skill set, but you don't have the money. You bring in a partner that maybe has money to invest. That could be a partnership. Or maybe you have a different skill set than your other partners, and you know, you're combining your talents together for a business. So more than one, and then also you haven't filed to be a corporation. So to be a corporation, you do have to do some paperwork with the state to become a corporation. We'll talk about more about that in a later chapter. When we do the financials, it will be from a corporate standpoint, but most everything is the same in the financials, whether it's a corporation or a sole proprietorship or a partnership. I'll point out when it's different. I have a lot of students who want to start their own business, maybe already have their own business, so they're interested in that. And so we will get into, you know, what those financials would look like for sole proprietorship and partnership. Most of the focus, though, will be corporations. There's very few differences when it comes to the financials. So that's what we would have covered real quick in class. We would have done a couple short, brief exercises. I've written down brief exercise 1-1, brief exercise 1-3. Those are in your end of chapter material. It's also in the practice homework if you want to go out and try those. I think they're just definitional exercises. So that's it for this time, and our next recording then will be about some of the financial statements. So stay tuned for more fun.